Mr. Peter ESSOKA.
Simplicity, humility that we must learn.
That is a man with a kind heart, and he finds pleasure in lighting the candles of many people.
Mr. Peter ESSOKA is a very kind and generous man.
He can forgive at any moment. He doesn't get angry. Even if he gets angry in a few seconds, he's out of it.
His English is special. He's coherent. He's very articulate.
Peter,
his ability to teach you, correct you, without making you feel like you're stupid.
He has lived a life of service. Service to God, service to the nation, and service to humanity.
I was born and bred in Kumba. I went to school in Kumba. I finished my primary school.
I went to the primary school in 1951, and I met him there when his grandfather was a pastor in Kumba, Pastor ESSOKA.
And then later I went to CPC Bali.
8 of us from Kumba went to Bali that year.
After CPC Bali, I went to CAST Bambili.
We first met at the Cameroon Protestant College, CPC Bali, in 1959. So he was 1 year ahead of me. And we spent 4 years together, and we had quite a lot of fellowship together. We were in the same house.
And then from there to Yaoundé, where when I came to the University of Yaoundé. There I did an English degree.
In secondary school, we played football together.
He's a good football player, and he was most of the time in the goal.
He was a goalkeeper and encouraged me also to be a goalkeeper. And it was really, really a newfound fellowship.
I was a good footballer. I played for many teams while I was a younger person. I was in the West Cameroon team in those days. Then later on, when I went to CAST Bambili, I was the goalkeeper for Bamenda, the whole of Bamenda, until I got fractured. And I played. Then later on, I played tennis. And today, I'm still in the tennis club, Club 88 of Yaoundé, and I'm its president.
And beyond that, we were quite interested in journalism. He was going for radio journalism, I was going for press journalism, and we saw to it, thanks to God, that we had our dreams fulfilled. I went to Cameroon Times, a newspaper that most of you don't know, but it was the leading English language newspaper in the then West Cameroon.
To tell you a little story, an anecdote, I came with the intention of going to do law, because I like to do law. I had gone through a few difficult times, and I thought being a lawyer, I would take my revenge on anybody who had done things to me. But the tables turned, and I found myself into broadcasting, because I was recruited in 1967 as a broadcaster.
And we have been together since, except for the years when he went to the United States with a family and stayed out for about 12 years.
From there on, I had a fellowship and I went to the United States for a number of years. And then came back. When I came back, by the time I came back, I had gone through Senegal, where I was a manager for West Africa for the international organization World Vision International. It was a humanitarian organization, and we took a lot of time treating or working with the people in the Sahel zone during the enormous drought that had caught that area. There's total desertification. And I was doing all the reports from Mauritania all the way to Chad.
And when he came back from the States, I took my whole family to the airport to welcome Peter.
And then after that, I thought I should come back home. And I came back just when CRTV was being born. And I was directly recruited into CRTV.
He was doing a program called English with a Difference. And he invited me to be the reporter. I will go out and do the reports that he needed for this program, and that helped to build a relationship beyond that of a boss and a collaborator.
He was my boss at the National Communication Council. But before then, I remember that he was like running a semi-refectory at his office in Mbala 2. Everyone who had who felt like having a coffee, who had felt like eating some groundnuts or biscuits, will sidestep his secretary, get into his office and have tea and coffee and biscuits and stuff.
But above all, he also, at the time he was working with us in the news department, helped us a lot. I remember we had decided at that time, when the English newscast was moved to the position it occupies today, being the first newscast of major newscasts of the day on television, a decision was taken that on Wednesdays we will do in-depths on a particular topic we had chosen. And it was also decided that all those reports in that special package were to end with a stand-up. He would personally drive us to various locations in town. It's not the typical boss of today. It's not the boss driving the collaborators around. And that attitude built a rapport for many of us. So it made us to be close to him and to feel free in his presence.
As Deputy Director for Information, and then later on I became Deputy Director for Programs, and programs, and a number of other responsibilities, which led me to being a member of the National Commission on Human Rights and Freedoms. I became a member of the National Communications Council, and which led me, after many years of that, to even grow up to become the president of the National Communication Council.
He took the same quote and unquote attitude to the National Communication Council, where his office doors were very, very open. And he had the casting vote, which he never used. Some of my colleagues, he would even insult him. He would lose his temper briefly, and the next minute he's chit-chatting and inviting everyone else who cared for a coffee to come out to his office and have it.
It's a straightforwardness. It's a man who is clean. He doesn't accept what is not right, and he doesn't do what is not right. He has the God qualities in him, and he respects his Father in heaven. He's truthful in everything he does.
He was a professional. He was a regulator. He was like a referee. And as you know, referees don't play football. So he allowed us to take decisions very independently at the National Communication Council. He didn't interfere.
And many of you may not know that he was a superstar in sports journalism. And I remember some of the retired sports journalists, when they were asked what was it that motivated them, they said they had a very good model.
I've interviewed very many people. I've had conversations with people. I have done lots and lots of things. Done challenging jobs. For instance, when I was doing a hotline, it was a very challenging thing on the radio because people insulted everybody, including the head of state, and I had to manage it. And it was a very difficult task to do. However, the most challenging and exciting and inciting issue that I had in my life is when I went to Uganda for a sporting activity. And he was there. And I met him. But I didn't talk to him about an interview. Later on in the night, in the evening, I met the Minister of Sports of Uganda. And I asked him, how possible is it for me to talk to the President of the Republic? He said, oh, well, I don't know. I will go and ask him, and if he says yes, you're welcome to do so. The next morning, at about 6 o'clock, my hotel room door, somebody was knocking. Who is it? He said, the Minister of Sports. What? The Minister of Sports coming to my hotel room at 6 o'clock in the morning? What for? Met the minister at my door, and he said, go and get ready. The President of the Republic is waiting for you. I didn't even have time to talk to my head of the delegation. It was Minister of Sports of Cameroon. It was then Mr. Joseph Hofe. I got into the minister's car because he was waiting for me. I just thought this was a death trap, that I had to ask to talk to Idi Amin. How could it be? So now they've come to take me. I've not even told anybody. My heart pounding. I said, well, if I go and don't come back, please God, I was going for a special duty. When I got there at the gate, as I was entering, lo and behold, this tall, huge, boisterous man stood there and welcomed me as though I was a head of state. The media was already there, and we started conversing on general issues about Africa, about Cameroon, even though I didn't have a notion of what I was going to ask him, because I was just confused. I just said, Mr. President, are you ready now? So I opened up, and while he was talking, I started framing my questions as I was going to ask him. That was an unforgettable experience. I never would have had an opportunity if I didn't go to Uganda. And I was one of the first African journalists to interview President Idi Amin. And another incident, I was hospitalized, very sick, and the president had to address the nation. They had to obtain permission from the director of the general hospital to release me to come out and read the president's visit. So I was taken on a wheelchair to a car, drove to television house to go and do the recording there. However, it was a wonderful journey in the radio. I was a desk editor for the English news. I was a sports commentator. I was a reporter who traveled along with the president at certain times. And I enjoyed it enormously.
Camerounais, Camerounais, mes chers compatriotes.
Fellow Cameroonians, my dear compatriots.
He was so renowned that you will not miss him. Not to talk of the portions of his career when he was the one doing the interpretations of the head of state's speeches.
When still then at primary school, I only knew him as most often as the president of the Anglophones because of his translation of the president's speech.
The pioneer members of this congregation, right from the Faculty of Protestant Theology in those days, and he was handling the choir. And I've known him also as a youth elder when I was president of the CYF.
He's very religious. His faith is deep.
He's born in music. He was born, music was part and parcel of him.
With his lovely voice of tenor, a good tenor singer. He sings very well. With his wife, Mrs. ESSOKA, a soloist. When she sang solo for the congregational choir, this congregation, you have good skin.
Our passion is singing. We got married because we really loved serving God and singing. And we've kept it on all these years.
I am singing. I started a choir at the Presbyterian Church, Bastos. And that choir has been existing since 1969. I've been a member of that choir. I've been its director. I've been its president.
And there's something about him that always got me. I always remember about him, his way of settling down situations in the choir, that he's just so patient with everybody. Like when there's anything that has to do with singing, he will tell you, you have to mold your voice. And that makes me improve on my singing.
He has left a legacy in this choir, and we will continue to uphold the nice values that he has inculcated in us.
What inspires me in Gonkopi is that when you see most of the choirs around Yaoundé here, they generated from the congregational choir. The congregational choir traveled to Spain through Uncle P.
And his person is similar to the person of Mother Teresa of Calcutta.
Mr. Peter ESSOKA is the board chair of Trauma Center, and this has been for about 15 years now. Trauma Center works with refugees, works with internally displaced persons, and so on. So there are people who are traumatized. They do rehabilitation, and because of his contributions, we have known that rehabilitation can be done as a passion.
At one point, I would even forget to go and take my salary. People say, Victor, I believe by now your salary can not sustain you to the end of the month. Maybe when I'm going back, like on weekends, you would move 10,000, 20,000, and say, take this, go to my fridge. In his house, I was free to enter his fridge.
I will not be able to mention them, but there are many people who Mr. Peter has helped to send them to school, to help them when they are sick, and generally to help the poor whenever in church or elsewhere we meet, and there are people who are desperate. Mr. Peter ESSOKA has always been amongst those who have rendered assistance to the desperate people.
So we thank God for him. We pray that with all that imbued in him, God should continue to bless him.
Peter ESSOKA is my husband. I got married to him in August 1971, almost 52 years now. We have 3 children, 4 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild, and we feel blessed.
My dad was, even though he was very busy, he was always around. He liked to play games with us. We watch sports together. We sing together. We pray together. A very, very involved father. He enjoyed being around us, his children, and loved to do things with us.
Dad and Mom had me when Dad was 40 years old. So there was this scenario where he thought that he wouldn't be old enough to see me grow up, or he wouldn't be here to see me grow up, and we always spoke about me being an experiment. But here we are. He's 80. I'm closing in on the age that he had me at, and we're still here, we're going, and I wish him many more years.
I retain the fact that Peter has been a friend indeed. For 35 years, Peter has always been there, in my good times, in my bad times, in my joyous times, in my times of grieving. Peter has been a strong present shadow, if you like, behind me.
I knew him some 25 years ago, and we've been able to do some projects together at the level of the state and the level of the church. At the level of the state, he has always advised me to be very patriotic and also to be very conscious when I am on air, because every word that I utter is very important. So that has helped me, because I have always been very cautious, especially when I'm in media.
How to be polite. I learned how to be submissive. I learned how to take things as they come. I learned how to be religious. I used to be very, very stubborn. And every other person, everyone else was like accusing me, running away from me, stigmatizing me, let me put it that way.
I learned a lot from him. What I can say about him is he's not only a boss, but a good father. Each time you come to him, with your problems, he advises you and you look for a solution.
He was a director. He will invite me to his office. When things got to a head, when my stubbornness, I think I said before that I was as stubborn as chewing gum. You could chew me, but you would not swallow me. ESSOKA gave me a Bible. I still have the Bible with me. And on it was inscribed, Charlie, be a good boy now. And several years after, I think I graduated from the bad boy that I was to a good boy.
And whenever you are in some dire straits or have any problem, he's one of the first you will meet, consoling you, talking to you, making you feel fine.
Try as much as possible not to worry too much. Be involved in the things that I've told you, sports and singing. You're okay. When something sort of bothers you, you take your hymn book or some of that and you start singing and praying to God to give you strength to continue your life.
Mr. ESSOKA turning 80, it is my wish that it is not only a plus 80, but a plus 80 that is lived with pleasure, that is lived with joy, that is lived with events that make life continue to be worth living.
We thank you also that throughout these 80 years, you gave him the opportunity to serve this nation.
Wow, look at that.
God will continue to propel him to do greater things than he's done before. So, in spite of the fragility that is caused by aging, but for all of us, his spirit is renewed daily, and I know that he will continue to move on and inspire greatly generations to come. So that's my wish for him.
If I were to start today and I had the opportunity, I would be a journalist. I've told people many times that nothing can take me out of it because I love it. I have loved it from the very beginning. I loved it in the middle way. I have loved it and I love it even all to this day. It gives me an opportunity, an expression of myself. It gives me opportunities to meet people, to talk to people, and freely, without timidity. It makes you feel like you are somebody.